The GovX show is supported by Forrester, helping government organisations perform at their best. Visit forrester.com to learn more. Hi and welcome to another episode of the GovX show. This episode we're talking all things local government transformation as we welcome Becky Davis and Chubb from Sopra Steria. They've worked with multiple local authorities up and down the UK on transformation projects where they combine digital technology with managing cultural change to deliver outcomes for citizens that really make an impact. They've got lots of useful insights to share and some brilliant case studies and practical insights. So enjoy the episode now, and then I'll be back at the end to tell you how you can hear more from them as they join us at GovX Digital 2020 for a couple of sessions around local government. In the meantime, here they are. So Becky, Chris, welcome to the GovX show.
Thank you so much for having us. Really pleased to be here.
Great to be here.
Thank you. So we're going to talk a bit about Sopra Steria's work with local government in transformation. But before that, it'd be interesting to find out about you two as individuals and your role. So maybe you could just tell us what you do with Sopra Steria and what the areas of focus are.
Sure, yeah. So, I'm Becky Davis. I head up our customer and organisation transformation consulting for UK government consulting. We are a team of digital transformation specialists. But we absolutely focus on the transformation being around people. So we kind of provide capability, if you like, into primarily local government from visioning and chunking up really complex transformations all the way through to sitting next to a member of staff and helping them to work in a new way.
Okay, so the full sort of remit and spectrum really. And Chris, what about you?
Good morning, Chris Chubb. I head up the business technology consulting team. We are a team of consultants first, but we all have technology experience, whether that's through delivery or through consultancy. I tend to say we have the scars of delivery without the cynicism of delivery, and we look to work seamlessly with Becky's team, working collaboratively to create solutions that solve real business problems, and we do that at pace. So whether that's through leveraging existing technologies, upgrading, training, or looking at new solutions to solve problems.
Okay, fantastic. So you've hinted at some of the areas of your remits. What, if we're looking at Sopra Steria's work with local government overall, what are its kind of aims and ambitions? What are the key areas of activity that you're engaged in?
Absolutely. So really our focus within Sopra Steria at the moment with local government is around working as strategic partners and supporting local government to be able to modernise and to be able to exploit and take advantage of everything that digital has to offer. So over the past 2 years, we've done significant work with some of our local government partners to help them to be able to achieve that, to be able to achieve more than they have done in the past with their digital transformation. And that is the focus moving forward. So how do we really support our local government partners to modernise their services and to be resilient and agile for whatever the future brings?
And in terms of what that might look like, transformation is seen as a sort of big shiny word, and behind that there are kind of real things happening. Are there any particular sort of examples or projects that sort of show how organizations can realize the benefits of transformation that sort of demystify this whole concept of transformation being this sort of big unachievable goal?
Yeah, big scary thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose our flagship program of work is the work that we've done alongside the Borough of Broxbourne Council. So we started working with them 2 years ago, and I was just delighted to walk into a council that was really looking to modernise every single element of the way that they work. And I think Broxbourne are very much the same as many other councils across the country. They've, you know, had a go at digital, whatever digital means to them at that point, and just had a sense of disappointment around the outputs and the differences it was making to the way that they were working and the way that they were delivering public services. So Broxbourne is our kind of flagship account of how you can transform differently, and it's a different strategy. It's a people-focused strategy rather than a technology strategy. And what we've seen at Broxbourne is a whole council transformation, bottom up and now top down, so that they are a modern, slick, customer-focused council that are resilient and agile and have actually continued to deliver every single service that's required post-COVID remotely, not being in the building. So yeah, they are an amazing client to work with, and they've gone through the most amazing transformation. But I think for me, it's because there was a different strategy. Technology plays a huge part in digital and what we do, and Chris can probably add to that in a moment. But the focus was on people first, designing for customers, designing for employees, and taking great care of people as we're going through that change. I don't know if you want to kind of add to that, Chris, around the sort of technology element.
Yeah, it was a refreshing change in emphasis from what systems do we need to implement to make things better within the council to what can we do to make our experience better for the customer, which changes the focus from what's the best customer experience we can deliver. And yet technology is a huge part of that, of course it is, but it is also in the way you think about, if I was the customer, what is it that how would I want to interact with the council? How would I want to use my mobile, or would I use my iPad, or whatever the technology is, and what's the experience that you get off the back of that? So it was a really refreshing, different mindset that we came into at Broxbourne. Great client.
So if I'm a citizen in Broxbourne, and I'm actually only about half an hour up the road from there, how might my interaction or experience with sort of, you know, the services they provide be different now to when the project started? Any sort of practical examples of that?
Absolutely. So we have digitally transformed end-to-end over 170 of the council services over about sort of 18-month period. So probably every single resident in Broxbourne has seen a new way of interacting with the council. The story that I really like, though, is the story around Sarah, who was one of our personas that we created when we were redesigning what it looks like to be homeless or at risk of being homeless in the Broxbourne area. And it was a really challenging experience for Sarah. You know, just 12 months ago, Sarah would have had to come into the council, gone up to a reception area, picked a blue ticket or a yellow ticket, and waited a good sort of, you know, hour and a half in order to see a receptionist to start talking about what her situation was and why she needed support from the housing team within the council. And more often than not, Sarah wouldn't have the right documents with her to make an application or to kind of move forward, and Sarah would have to return to the council the next day. And so working alongside the housing service and really redesigning for customers like Sarah, we recreated a digital front door, if you like, for what that first contact would look like for Sarah. So Sarah's experience today is she can go onto the council website, she can access that from her mobile or tablet or laptop, whatever works best for her. She's presented with really clear information around what her options are and how the council might be able to support her. And if after taking on that kind of self-serve information, she still needs further support from the council, she can fill out an online form, provide all of the information that's required, upload any evidence really easily, like photos of documents or, you know, medical reasons or any other rationale for her needing extra support, and send that off to the council really simply electronically, and get a call back. So that first contact experience for somebody like Sarah is completely different. It's a much better experience for her. She doesn't have to travel and wait at the council. She can do it in an evening. She can do it at the time that suits her. But also we've seen a huge impact for the way that the housing service operates within the council as well, because they're getting that information up front about Sarah's situation. They can do some research, they can understand better before they give Sarah a call back. And what it's meant is that they can redirect some of that resource that was spent waiting at the reception, listening to those first conversations, not having the right evidence, to turning it into really practical casework. And I suppose sort of reshifting the focus of those what were receptionists into now excellent caseworkers that are helping to solve problems like Sarah's. So that's a really nice example of how a simpler digital experience can not only improve Sarah's life, but also significantly change the way that the housing service can operate and work more efficiently and better.
Freeing up their time to do things that are really making a difference to people, as opposed to essentially having them.
Absolutely.
I think there is a consistency as well, in that no matter how Sarah came to the council, whether it was online, on her phone, whether she came into the council or whether she rang the council, there was a consistent messaging and approach that if she doesn't get a different message if she rings, and the customer service agent is filling in the same form. If Sarah was to come into the council, she'd be on the iPads filling in the same form, or if she's on the phone, she's filling in the same form. And it's that consistent messaging and that consistent way of communicating with the customers that no matter what channel you prefer, you get the same information and the same message and the same service. And that consistency is common across all the journeys that we've implemented with Broxbourne. That's really important, that customers don't get a disjointed, disconnected experience, whether you're talking to housing or planning or waste. It's always the same type of information presented in the same way, and it's consistent.
It's great to hear that these sort of transformational examples are really happening right now. If we look elsewhere, do you typically see similar challenges across local authorities when you first talk to them or start to work with them, or are they very broad, or are there some common themes that seem to be prevalent in the UK sort of local government?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think having worked in local government myself for over 15 years, the problems are exactly the same today. The challenges are exactly the same today. And I think every local authority will have been on some element of transformation or digital transformation as they see it. And I think what we kind of experience when we're working with councils like Broxbourne or Newark and Sherwood or Welwyn Hatfield is that we're starting to hear that actually there is this huge chasm of disappointment from what they thought they were going to achieve by introducing digital and what they have actually achieved. So, they've spent a lot on technology. The technology is not quite working in the way that they expected it to. Staff are just a bit exhausted by all of the change that's happened over the last 10 years. They're still facing the same challenges around, delivering great services with a lot less money, but customers' expectations are changing as well at the same time, in a sense of how they want to interact and the kind of response times and what that looks like. So for me, it's interesting to look at Broxbourne's success, if you like, that they've managed to kind of deliver over that sort of 2-year period, which is quite a short period of time for a whole council transformation, and really start to think about what has been different for them, because they were exactly the same as every other council that I've worked with when we've landed. And I think, for me, some of the key differences are around that whole council transformation. It's around Chris and his team's solutions around leveraging existing technology, but looking at technology to solve business problems rather than, just having technology for technology's sake. But also, embracing a new culture and a new way of moving forward. And I don't think it's any different really for any other council across the country. They'll just be on a slightly different stage of their journey.
I think I'd add that and what we consistently see from a kind of a technology point of view is rather than a single organization acting in a single consistent way, you end up with 17 departments all acting slightly differently with different purchasing decisions and purchasing power and buying technology in isolation of each other. So you end up with 17 different systems trying to do things, and everyone's trying to do the right thing. But because there isn't that consistent enterprise view and ownership of the technology, you end up with a very disparate landscape. And the result of that is that you're never going to get the leverage, the benefits of the technology. And if you just hope that technology is going to fix a problem without considering how the business wants to change, and actually how they need to leverage that technology, and therefore the processes might change as a result of that, then you're never going to get the benefits. And I think it's only 55% of IT projects actually achieve any of the cost savings they're looking to do, because they're just dropping technology in on people without considering the wider implications of it. It has to be that whole council change, that whole department change, rather than just in isolation of it's tech and it will save us money.
Oh, absolutely. So where might local authorities start if they're looking to, I mean, most of them have probably started and stopped and tried some things already, but in your experience, are there certain areas where there are some sort of fairly reliable wins that can be achieved quite early on, which I guess then help to establish the sort of culture of acceptance and that this is going to work, and you get sort of buy-in further down the line? Any examples where you would recommend they look first?
Absolutely. I mean, I think taking a people-focused approach first really works. As we're seeing success with all of our kind of local authority partners, where we are shifting their thinking around their service provision to what their customers are experiencing. So in a tier 2 local authority like the Borough of Broxbourne Council, we know that there are about 200 customer journeys, if you like, that they are delivering on a day-to-day basis. And I think what is always really interesting is that when you ask a council to stop thinking about policies and processes and their internal ways of working and shift that on its head to say, okay, what does this experience look like for Sarah, who's trying to access homelessness services? Or what does this experience look like for Edith, who's 87 and really struggling to get her bin out into the right place for it to be collected? People start to think and feel very differently around the services that they are delivering. So we know that coming in and taking an enterprise view of existing technology investments and understanding how you can get those working collectively and better delivers significant benefit. We know that if we connect customers directly to council services, using technology to enable that to happen, we know that that delivers significant benefit. And we know that there are service areas that if we design them around the customer and take away that pain for the customer, we take away a significant amount of pain for the council as well, and deliver efficiencies. I think we've seen some, for Broxbourne Council, ensuring that waste services were efficient and digital has delivered huge organisational benefit for them. But if you look at Welwyn Hatfield, working through their revs and benefits services and making sure that they are self-serve, is delivering huge benefits for them. So I think for each council, there is a slightly different focus, but there are some core things that we can significantly change by just shifting our thinking from the sort of internal process and policy delivered services to actually thinking how we deliver amazing services for the residents and customers that they serve.
And I think we you know, just kind of to echo the point that we often see, if there's pain for the customer, there's pain for the users, for the staff. So if you can look at how the customers are entering and trying to communicate with you, they're hitting the website usually, and you look at the amount of people that hit the website and then bounce straight off again to the phone line because they can't find it. You know, search doesn't work. They can't find the form. They can't find what they're looking for. The information is so complex that they can't actually decipher what it is I need to actually do to achieve what I'm trying to achieve. I think there is significant a benefit to be made if you can just make that use simple language. Your reading age should be between 8 and 10 on your website. Forms should be really clearly laid out and easy to use on a mobile or on a computer. Thinking about how you can make it easy for the customer to interact and get the information they're trying to do. How do I report a missed bin? One of the biggest journeys every council will have. Make that simple and easy to do, and that will take out significant pain for the customer and the staff as well.
And it shifts customers to, so for those that can and want to, the more you can move to a digital self-serve model, if you like, the more capacity you've got within the council to be able to deliver that really important stuff where you need that human intervention, you need those really good conversations. So, the transformation that we've done digitally for Broxbourne Council has resulted in a 69% uptake in the number of customers accessing their own services online. We've seen a 115% increase in the number of over 65s accessing digital self-services. Now, obviously, COVID has pushed a kind of a bit of a shift around that in the sense of the way that people access. But, it just iterates the point that Chris was making. Design for the customer, keep it really simple, allow people to be able to engage digitally. And actually, primarily, that's the way that most customers want to engage, and it can make a huge difference to the way that the council operates.
Absolutely. Probably add one more as well to that. Sorry, one more, that I would get ownership of the IT estate if you can. A digital technology leader who has real decision-making authority and financial authority. Get control of the IT spend, get control of the technology, not to stop people doing things, but be the front door to enable decisions to be made quickly, but in the right order. So you haven't got, a poor IT team trying to left field things coming in all the time to them, which they can't cope with. And then you come with a program of work that upgrades or implementations or support. And once you have that enterprise view and there is some consistency in things that are going on within IT and technology, they'll really start to see the benefit of that upgrade and using technology in the right way as well.
It's great to hear what good can look like, both in terms of sort of internal operation and then even more importantly, the delivery and the impact on people's lives. I don't know if this is an unfair question, but if you look at UK local government overall, how good are we at this stuff right now? Appreciate you haven't been into every organisation and sort of lifted the bonnet, but what's your sense? Are we doing well? Are we making progress?
I think we are, and I think some councils are much further forward than others. What I am observing, though, are many councils have kind of created a digital front door. So they'll have a great website. Myself as a customer thinks, yeah, this is amazing. I can just get online and report my missed bin or set up my direct debit for my council tax or whatever I need to do in a sense of interacting. So it feels really digital to me as a customer, but actually what the councils haven't necessarily done is redesign that end-to-end process for the customer. So once that electronic form, if you like, gets submitted on the website, it lands in somebody's inbox, and then there is a fairly bureaucratic paper policy process that sits behind it that does, frustrates council staff and slows things up and delays that outcome for the customer. So I think that is, one of the challenges that a lot of councils have kind of gone through. They've gone, okay, we need to get digital, we need to get more self-serve, we'll create that really good digital front door for our customers to be able to do that. But actually that end-to-end process where you can deliver those real efficiencies and improve the outcome for the customer, because you can get it done faster or deliver those outcomes in a better way, hasn't been done. So I think that is a real opportunity within local government to really think about how you deliver that end-to-end digital transformation rather than digital front door.
Yeah, I think there are some real islands of excellence in councils, and that you kind of see some of them doing some really clever stuff with some of the technology they're using. I think it's really great, but there is a lot of the other side of that. There's a lot of local authorities who kind of still see technology and digital as a cost-saving measure, and you see that in their strategies, that by implementing digital we will save X percentage, and it's almost the wrong way of thinking about how digital can actually benefit your organization if you were to do it properly, holistically. The other thing I would kind of concentrate on is that technology leadership within organizations, that the linkage between what the business is actually trying to achieve and wants to achieve and what the technology can actually deliver. I think that is where we need to do better at, and putting that technology back at the heart of some of the decision making that's going on within local authorities.
Yeah, you talk about, sorry, Becky, I was just going to say, I think it's probably a point you're well placed to talk about, which is behind the technology, culture and skills play a crucial part. And I think we kind of started at this point as well. What would that look like going forward? Does something need to change in terms of the sort of culture within an organisation, or are we being unfair? Are they well equipped right now?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think it's always really interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, local authorities were structured in the 1970s, if you like, around, you know, how are we going to deliver these local public services? And if you looked at, you know, how would we structure local authorities today, they would probably look and feel very different. And I think part of the challenges is how do we kind of support these quite bureaucratic, slow-moving organisations to almost exploit what a digital mindset can deliver for, or is delivering for, any organisation that was kind of set up within the last 10 to 15 years. So if you look at more modern organisations and the way that they're taking advantage of digital, you know, they are very customer focused, always designing for the customer first. They are they make the most of digital in order to be able to deliver their services. But technology isn't over here in our service provision here. Technology is core to the way that they deliver that service provision. They are resilient and agile and can make decisions really quickly, which means that they can flex in a very ever-changing world and flex in order to be able to meet their customer expectations. And, you know, they make the most of data and different hierarchical structures within their organizations, again, to think about the future and how they move forward. So if you compare a local authority to some of the more modern organizations today, you know, they're two completely different beasts. So for me, it's about how do we help local authority to exploit some of those kind of key components of what makes a really strong organisation today. And, you know, probably even more important with everything that's going on with COVID and uncertainty around the way that councils need to deliver public services, but also the huge reliance that citizens have on local government today. So for people and culture within local authority today, what we tend to find are really innovative, excited people that want to make the change, but it's a mountain to climb. We've got these huge bureaucratic organisations that just take a long time to shift. So again, reflecting back on Broxbourne, one of the ways that we've kind of supported them to shift as a whole organisation is around really good quality change, but doing it really fast so that you really start to to see the business benefit, get excited about it. Transformation's meant to feel good, right? Not like really like, challenging. So yeah, and just starting that rolling stone going, really, getting it, gathering that moss and changing the culture that is within local authorities today, changing that culture to enable them to kind of exploit that resilience, that agility, that new digital way of working, and just taking, as I say, great care of people as they're going through that change. It's different.
I think one of the aspects that's really important, Becky mentioned it there, is the pace. In creating momentum within your digital transformation is probably the single most important thing you can do. So to make sure it carries on, continue, show early results, quick wins. And the way you do that is through decision making. And it's having someone in the council who is the single decision maker for that transformation. And on a daily basis, they are making decisions. They're not big decisions, they're little ones, but it has the authority, and it doesn't have to go through several rounds of committees and members and all the rest of it, but they can make, and they're empowered to make those decisions. I think if digital transformation had that in every council, we'd see a lot more success.
Fantastic. And we're obviously going to be exploring some of these ideas in even greater detail in the session that you're taking part in at GovX Digital on local government transformation. What are you going to be sharing and looking forward to sort of communicating with our audience, and why does that matter?
Yes, I'm really excited to be able to share some of our thinking. And the focus around our presentation is absolutely about taking a different strategy with your digital transformation. So moving it from being technology focused to being people focused, and how you do that really effectively, and the benefits that are driven as a result of that. So we've talked about that a lot today within our podcast, but talking about some of the practicalities, the differences that we've made to customers, and some of the amazing lessons learned that we've had working alongside our local authority partners as well, because digital transformation is absolutely hard work every day, and there are challenges that come forward, so it's not always easy, but yeah, some good lessons learned, and definitely about what happens when you shift that strategy, when you shift that focus.
That sounds brilliant. It's interesting that we've probably mentioned the word people as much as the word technology today, which I think that thread just runs through that session. So we'll put the links for how people can sign up for the session in the show notes that accompany this, so they can get involved, because I think practical examples are what people really need to see in order to understand it themselves and then get buy-in in their organisation. So great that you'll be able to share some of that. Before we wrap things up, just a couple more pieces to cover. So we're building a sort of virtual library as part of the event, where lots of the very interesting and diverse sort of transformation leaders that we're working with have picked a resource that they think is either inspirational or informative, and that they would recommend to other people. Could be books, podcasts, films, whatever it might be. So what would you both sort of nominate as something that you would recommend other people put on their reading or viewing or listening list?
I absolutely love IDEO. So IDEO is an international organisation which is all around human-centred design and delivering against social impact. So I would 100% recommend that people go onto the IDEO website, and there is a great free resource which is a human-designed toolkit which anybody can pick up and just start very different conversations with their colleagues about how they might solve business problems, but looking at it from a human-centred way. So it's been a bit of a Bible for me over the last 4 years. It's a free resource, and yeah, it's great. That would be my recommendation.
A glowing endorsement there. So Chris, what are you going to throw into the mix?
I've got two, and I've actually got them here. So my first one is that one, which is Digital Transformation at Scale, which is written by Mike Bracken, who started GDS. I think that's a fascinating book about how you actually do digital transformation, how you create the teams, how you get buy-in, how you make decisions quickly. And I'll say that's a must read, that one. My second one is one I've had since my degree, which is a long time ago now, but I do reread it every now and then. And that's Learning from Failure, a systems approach. And I think if I look back, I've learned much more from where things haven't gone right and where they have gone right. And that's a really good book about leadership and making the right decision at the right time. So I would recommend those two books.
Well, we'll stick them on the list, and we'll put some links and resources in the show notes so people can check them out for themselves, because we want to share the knowledge and share the inspiration. So thanks for those two. Last round that we do with our guests is a sort of quick fire round where we get your hot takes or immediate responses to some of the topics that we build the agenda around for the event. There's some pretty big and juicy ones, so some people are challenged into condensing their thoughts and reactions into a couple of sentences, but interested to hear your takes on these. If I throw them out there and either one of you jumps in with the one that you like the sound of, and we'll see where we get to. So if you're ready, I'll fire away.
Sure thing.
Okay, well, appropriately enough, we'll start with transformation.
Keep it people focused, and just see the benefit that delivers. Technology is a core part of it, but people focus seems to make a huge shift in pace and success.
Brilliant. And service excellence.
Again, focus on your people, redesign for your customers, take great care of the people that are going through the change that need to deliver in a different way, and you start to see very different outcomes. And
on a similar note, people and teams.
I would say, most importantly, strong leadership who are empowered to make decisions on a daily basis. Balanced leadership as well, considering all sides of a transformation, and an entrepreneurial spirit is vital.
Yeah, absolutely. Inclusion.
Design for people, design for a range of people, and you will deliver that inclusion. So making sure that you're redesigning public services for your whole community will make sure that everybody can engage and everybody can access services in a different way. So really core. GDS guidelines have really supported the development of the Broxbourne website. So yeah, make use of what is around, but again, design for your people, and inclusion will follow.
Fantastic. Government data.
Absolutely. Government data is there. There is the government data catalogues. There is the Open Gov Data Initiative. They are there to be used. There are catalogues and catalogues of data which you can access from everything from standard country lists to standard food inspection lists. They're there to go and use them, make use of them. There are APIs that are open. Go use them.
Fabulous. And last one, GovTech.
I think there are some fantastic bits of GovTech out there. The two I would mention are gov.notify for SMS and texting and letters. That is brilliant. It's really easy to use and integrate into your systems. And GovPay is another great service designed by GDS. I would definitely recommend using that one.
Okay, superb. Well, I think we've done the list. We've had a really good conversation around what transformation means, because there's quite a lot to unpack there. And it's really clear how the emphasis on the combination of people and culture underpinning the technology is crucial in your outlook. So looking forward to exploring that more, hearing some more about the sort of great case studies and examples that you've got to share with our audience. So we will see you in, a week and a half or something, 2 weeks for the event. As I said, we'll share the information on how everyone can register to be part of the conversations. But in the meantime, Chris and Becky, I'd just like to say thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks so much for having us, Tim. Really enjoyed the session.
Thank you very much, Tim. It's been great.
So thanks again to Becky and Chris from Sopra Steria for joining me for the conversation today. As I said, Sopra Steria are the sponsors of the local government stream at the event coming up in just over a week's time. They're taking part in a session on local government transformation, where we'll unpack some of the aspects of the technology and cultural change needed to deliver better outcomes for citizens. They'll be on a panel alongside Richard Grice from the London Borough of Haringey, Nigel Ball, who's from the University of Oxford's Government Outcomes Lab, and Tim Whelan from Lewis and Eastbourne Councils. They'll all be sharing lots of practical insights of how impact can be transformed by the combination of technology and culture. So it'll be a not to be missed session. And that one's at 3:45 p.m. on the 18th of November. It's free to register, and the link to sign up is in the show notes below. In the meantime, that's all from us, and we'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, bye-bye.